Well, how's everybody tonight going? I don't know about your guys' day, but my day is wonderful. With the list of executive actions, everybody's been asking me, why am I waiting? Why am I waiting? Why am I not attacking? Why am I not going after? I no longer have to say the Kokomo cartel. All I have to do is the Kokomo terrorist organization. The areas of operation: Indianapolis, Terre Haute, Lebanon, Allen County, like South Bend, the same Allen County. The prosecutor's office set friends back with now terrorist. The money laundering, like Paul Wyman, Captain Kevin Summers at the time of KPD, have been doing. You're now doing it for a terrorist organization. The elected officials, the defense attorneys, the judges, the prosecutors, protecting. You're now dealing for a terrorist organization, family members, the protection you've been giving these terrorists all these years, all the decades it took Kokomo and the surrounding areas to get this. Like, how did one terrorist put it? It's now terrorist heaven. Not anymore. Here soon. And like I put on my community wall, many of you, including your good old boys club, that's protected you all over all these years. That ended today with a stroke of a pen. After a stroke of a pen, after a stroke of a pen. Anybody money laundering, any of these elected officials like Paul Wyman, his buddies, his friends, anybody that's like a U.S. senator, protecting, giving comfort and protections to these terrorists, you're committing an act of treason against the United States of America, against foreign terrorists. Threats, and they're dealers. They're terrorists that have taken the lives over 80 Americans in Indiana alone in this terrorist organization's area of operations. I've had content creators laughing at me. I've had dealers like Tyler Joe French. I know where you live. Plan to see you here soon. You have what's coming. One day here soon. Terrorists like these individuals, like Tyler Joe French, Ricardo Espinoza, Jamie Reed. I will go off a complete list, name after name. Not only were you tampering with an FBI informant turned FBI federal witness, actions that I had to get thanks to a terrorist, actions against me, I had to get a protective order. Why? Because one of these terrorists decided it was in her best interest to fuck with a federal witness, now a living victim, just like Tyler Joe French, Ricardo Espinoza. So many of these terrorist organization members stalking my Facebook profile. You are stalking a federal witness turned federal living victim. You're not just facing those federal charges like a few content creators. Adrian, aka Enlight the Dark, Dan, Renee Anthony Greeno, Blue-eyed trucker. BNX. Prof, aka Robin Boudreaux. Do you realize your actions? I am high functioning autism. Mild autism at that. It does not affect my mental capacity. My PTSD. Just like Prof thought it was a laughing matter, then making fake hoax phone calls targeting me, my disabilities, my wheelchair, my mental capabilities, saying I had a gun strapped to the bottom of my chair. Do you realize the bottom of my power wheelchair? I can't put anything anywhere without opening a compartment, or if I was to tape it where you said I put it. Do you realize that's a federal hate crime? Like Tyler Joe French knows where I live. I have what's coming to me one day soon. Just like Aaron Unger. If I was to keep talking to Mark, not Mark, but Nick McClellan, the state, the investigative committee. Remember, she's trying to say she had a Delphi friend that grew up with the family and around the girls and their family members, them. And if I was to keep talking, and sorry, I haven't done a live here lately, and it's because my messed up rib, my gut, and everything. So I'm trying to not get too excited and kind of hurt. So if I kind of stop every once in a while, that's kind of why I'm still kind of milking, getting completely held up. That wreck we took and T-bone, it jacked me up, and that's why I haven't done a live yet. But we're going to get back to this. The content I've done this far, I've only showed a certain amount to a certain extent. I've said on a lot of this for a damn good reason. I didn't do the full exposure to letting these other content creators, the same content creators, do you realize doing internet crimes and then the civil rights, the legal team I have beside me are going to make it where all your social media, your internet access is revoked, taken for life. The long-term protective order I'm about to get on multiple. I hope the laughs. Each and every single one of you. Adrian, BNX, Dan, Renee Anthony Greeno, Casey Conwell, Blue-Eyed Trucker, Prof. Yeah, I said Prof. Robin Boudreaux. You're laughing. You're having fun. You're getting donations, money, using everything that it's taken me. I've lost everything, and a lot of people that were once close to me. Everything I owned, gone. But yet, it's ones like you deciding that you know better. You're going to use my PTSD against me, saying I'm mentally retarded. Where that PTSD stems from is what happened against me when I was a child. What happened to me by a predator and my younger cousin, I don't wish on anyone. But Robin Boudreaux, Prof, and these other individuals and many others decided to use it against me. I'm mentally retarded. This fucking retard is still keeping my name in his mouth and blah, 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 blah. And then everybody laughing that the FBI refused to act. Do you realize you're laughing at Flora, those 4 angels that lost their lives of the troubled community by members of this terrorist organization? The Delphi 2, Marion, Javon Blackwell, and his 2 underage sons. Logansport fires. Those children, there's over 20 children, and their only sin was their family belonged to this now terrorist organization, dealt for them, wronged them, and they lost their lives. Over 20 children of the troubled community. We still have one child where I can show her mother, Amber Robertson, goes back in and around other cases. And I've got an IMPD officer, Garland Odell Cooper, admitting to hers and other cases go back to the same now terrorist organization. Tyson connections back to Karina McClurkin, Delphi. Do you realize Nicole Bowen was killed by a self-admitting now terrorist to protect this terrorist organization? Do you realize Blaine Nelson was murdered by a terrorist organization now? Is this kind of clicking with some of you individuals? Hard-headed, and you thought it was a laughing matter, like Tyler French admitting that he's coming to my lives, among many others in this terrorist organization, laughing. The agent, well, I've got more than one agency and more than one representative. What you didn't know is somebody that just sworn into the office just today, I was already working with his administration to set an example and obliterate, like the hell. This terrorist organization, the same terrorist organization that had cost the lives of 4 badges, their dealers, their killers were dealers for this criminal. Why am I saying criminal? Terrorist organization is exactly who and what they are. As of today's executive orders, those strokes of a pen, they're about to make an example out of your organization and the 10 states that you're money laundering, just like the money laundering in the rehab facilities is for a now proven on the record terrorist organization. Do you realize that terrorist organization is going into mental health and rehab facilities to money launder its money? Business partners like Paul Wyman. And if you look up Daniel Metz, he was money laundering for that same now terrorist organization down in Florida. When he got busted in 2021, another longtime Kokomo dealer like himself moved down to Florida. Andrew Bess. Do you realize the feds and the attorney general has been on you from the very get-go? You thought your troubles was over and done with. The Good Old Boys Club is going to protect you like they railroaded and did Richard Allen. When some individuals that were named in his case are now charged for who and what they actually are now, terrorist, killing, missing and murdered, all of this troubled community, over 80 cases. 20 plus of these are children. It makes me sick that you laughed. You thought it was a laughing matter. You were going to walk. Like Gabriel's thinking he's going to get out of prison early. You're not going to regular prison, buddy. You're going to the big boy house for the terrorists like you go. You get out early. Go ahead and try to act on me. Any actions taken upon me, the ones around me, by terrorists for this terrorist organization, do you realize it's only going to cause the hell? And after the operations, the issues taken care of in Indiana, the amount of lives across 10 states, over 100 cases, they'll go back to this terrorist organization and its operations here in Indiana and its operatives. It's terrorists that are dealing and killing within this terrorist organization. Enough blood is going to be shown that allows President Trump to take immediate and necessary actions, militarily wise, to obliterate and wipe your asses off the face of the earth in Mexico. I hope to God they carpet bomb each and every single one of your sisters, your brothers, your mothers, your daughters, your friends. I hope to God they meet a fiery and hellacious, torturing death by our bombs and our military forces here one day soon. Like the lives you've taken across the United States, the blood spilled on our nation's soil. For what your terrorist organization, money, power, and just like the border Caesar already said, just remember, my gang's bigger than yours. I can't wait till your friends, your families, like the victims of the families here, have gone through hell based off of your terrorist actions. When your brothers, your mothers, your sisters, your aunts, and uncles meet a fiery and explosive death down in Mexico, I'm going to sit back and laugh my ass off. And the justice that's about to happen for so many of these victims of your terrorist organization. You have laughed at me for far too long. These content creators like Rick Snay, Prof, Matt Sullivan, that have used my information. Do you realize I'm still an informant for a federal agency? That's tampering with an informant, witness, and living federal victim, now of a criminal organization known as a terrorist organization. I'm a living victim of a terrorist organization, and it's exactly what they will be called from this day forward. How about you go back on Case by Case and Rick Snay's live they just did? Look for Grandma Lena, GRAMALENA, in the comments, and her buddies, like I've told you all, one after the other. And her Facebook groups, their private chats, like Tina Riddell, the other terrorist dealers, their friends and family. Just like Aaron Unger out of Frankfort, Indiana, and her dealing daughter below her, Celeste Sexton, names that Tina, her best friend Linda Garlic, Grandma Lena, federally tampered with an informant, witness, and living federal victim. You and your friends' actions to protect your dealers, your child molesters like Clayton Sawyer, or should I say James Sr. Jr., and his raping, molesting his own family under your roof? Oh, what are you going to do? Get me raided? Oh my God, you're going to the news over my grandson. Oh, poor Clay. And after his own family, yet again, after he raped and molested his little sister, did the same thing under your roof, under your watch, under your eyes. But same Linda Garlic, her son's longtime friend down in Columbus, her second son, in her own words. Look at my community wall. his name and his charges down in Columbus, Indiana, where Clayton, aka James Sawyer Jr., a station in Columbus, Indiana. These same individuals, Linda Garlick, aka Grandma Lena, or Linda's Looking Miller, are praised and being chatted with everybody on Rick Snay, Delphi After Dark. Him and his commenters, Prof. Do you realize the information in the private groups, the private messages, like Criminal Network, look past his true crime front? No means yes. I'm a veterano. Mexican cartel gang member. Sex, drugs, murder. A murderer is gonna keep killing. Look past the true crime front in the videos that he made. He's praising, he's talking, he's singing, and he uploaded. Look past the true crime front and where criminality and other content creators are having you go. Add yourselves, subscribe, donate, become a member. Look past the true crime front, and what will you find? What will you see? The same Latino gang he belongs to and is a veteran gang member, praising the same things that they're saying they want justice for their own gang that operates in Indiana. Along this terrorist organization took the lives of these children. All they're trying to do is use the true crime community and get all the information, just like Linda Garlick, Tina Riddell, and their friends and these content creators, that they've paid enough donations to push the false narrative, the fake news, the, oh, look here. Don't bother listening to Michael Phillips and Hunting Evil True Crime. Come sub over here. Come become a member over here. Keep your money coming over here. While they're attacking me, my disabilities, my mental handicaps, and you fellow members over there laughing beside them while they're doing this, violating federal laws, using internet crimes to further their agenda. And straight from the horse's mouth, you know what's troubling on that? He got moved from Indiana State Prison to Plainfield. The same thing happened when Alan Tinker, when he got early released. Alan Tinkers can't wait to meet you here soon after he's already murdered one individual. And then what makes me sick? Everybody, like even Prof and these other content creators laughing at me. There was suspects like Brad Holder, Jeffrey Brackett, Kim Thomas, Boone County, militia members that were sitting in my federal informant files, like Gabriel Ellis, Tyler Joe French, the firefighter that paid Gabriel Ellis, the sex trafficker, to kill Karina. What? Oh. Sorry about that. But what I was getting at is Gabriel Ellis was sex trafficking Karina McClurkin. His jailhouse confessions admitting that, yes, I was at the right spot at the right time. I did stop and help Karina McClurkin, waited with that girl, protected that little girl for hours until Paige Turley came and picked her up. Admits that, yes, Paige Turley did pick her up and take her out to his trailer. That's where both of their stories change, but that's when Blaine Nelson, among others, filled in the blanks and the false narratives, the stories where Aspen Connor, among others, are helping. Remember, Paige Turley under Aspen Connor, his own words, she's innocent. How dare you? Jerry McClurkin, oh, she's innocent. How dare you? Well, Gabriel Ellis's jailhouse confessions, she left Flint Farmer's house alive. That's where I stopped and helped her. It wasn't Flint Farmer. If they see her, I'm as good as dead, crying, upset, looking around her for hours, begging, using damn near every ounce of battery her phone had. Her phone was nearly dead when she finally got a contact back, Paige Trilly, asking her to come get her. Told her where. You're lucky I just got home from out partying. It was around 4 a.m., if not later, when Paige Trilly, after a night partying, about got T-boned by a white trailblazer. Both her vehicle and that vehicle that damn near hit her are on video. More than one location, especially when the speedway camera caught you turning off of Markland onto Washington, picking Karina up, and both of you are on that video, taking a left on Markland, going towards Gabriel Ellis's trailer. And I'm no longer saying Gabe Ellis is that and the other. I'm calling them terrorists for what they are. They belong to that terrorist organization. And there's no way getting out of that now. That executive order that just hit tonight, the laws that are signed, it's no longer a cartel drug ring. It's a terrorist organization. Thank you, Lord, and thank you, Trump. These terrorists taking the lives of over 20 children should be charged for who and what they are and for who they killed for. That terrorist organization and their killers, the local politicians and elected officials, rank and file, law enforcement. If you guys really want me to blow you away, there's a reason more than one case why state like Nick McClellan and a defense team chose not to attack this cartel drug ring, this terrorist organization, dealers turn killers. They refuse to. It helps when their own daughters and family members go back to many of these same individuals, a few that were named, and many that weren't. The dealers turn killers, them and their friends in and around this terrorist organization. It helps when a daughter and other family members set friends with these same individuals. That would sure make a good reason, just like the terrorist dealer of Nicholas McClellan, Blaine McClellan, and his terrorist dealing partner, Derek German. I'm telling you how it is and how it sits as of today. You're no longer cartel dealers, you're terrorist dealers. And do you realize, Rachel, with what you just said right there, even with Gabriel Ellis's admissions, the jailhouse conversations with Jerry McClurkin and Andrea Joe Glassburn, both registered visitors of Gabriel Sebastian Ellis, admitted over multiple jailhouse visits. And then I got sent this by Jerry McClurkin. He admits that Flint Farmer had nothing to do with Karina McClurkin's case. She left his apartment alive. And he has set over 2 years, over 970 days in solitary confinement for a crime. The trafficker and one that led to her death was none other than a now retired Kokomo firefighter that was allowed to retire and sitting on a pension. That's over 2 years of solitary confinement, 23 hours a day, 7 days a week. in solitary confinement. And you've seen what 13 months did to somebody. I am so glad they decided to move his case to April, because the help I'm getting in Prof, these other content creators, the agent I've already been in communication with, showing them the disability, the civil rights violated, the attacks on my disability, for a good laugh, for content, for money, donations from your cult-like followers. Look at the community wall. When you're harassing, attacking, targeting me and my disabilities for a laugh, a good time, for content, for views, for money from your cult-like followers, it was a laughing matter then. But the meeting I'm having later this week, it's not a laughing matter when you violate federal laws, and in the process, using the internet crimes. I'm allowed to ask, even before it goes to court, for any and all access to the internet by these content creators and these dealers for this terrorist organization, the ones that chose the internet to threaten me, just like Aaron Unger, the Frankfurt. There was 4, her boyfriend, Celeste Sexton, her daughter, her boyfriend, Dustin Williams. All 4 of them was arrested in 2015. Aaron Unger's own written admissions. She dealt for that cartel, that terrorist organization, for years, admitting to, yes, the Latino ran repair shop, the only one in Frankfurt, Indiana, was where she was getting fronts of cocaine, meth, and synthetics, like the fake weed and the fentanyl she was arrested for, along with her daughter and their boyfriends in 2015. This same Aaron Unger, the threats that her and her Delphi friend, if you look back on my community wall, how did they know details? They put, if I was to keep talking to the state, the investigation, and the FBI, that I would end up like those 2 little girls. They put split. I feel they accidentally put a SP when it was supposed to be slit, tortured, left in puddles in the middle of the woods, just like those 2 little girls. December 21st, 2020. And yes, I pushed that forward. That's showing the nexus of this terrorist organization, its dealers, knowing what only the killers of this terrorist organization that terrorized and killed those 2 little girls, they knew, and law enforcement knew. How did Aaron Unger share the same details with me, saying that she had a Delphi friend over that grew up, knew the girls and their family? How did they know details 2020 that was not released at all? Besides the killers and law enforcement that knew those exact details. And this is where Linda Garlic, Grandma Lena, Linda's looking Miller, being praised on Rick Snay, props, the same ones that are giving information to the same individuals, this terrorist organization, for donations. Oh, hey, I'll send you an email. Oh, I got this private group. I got this private messaging group going on. Hey, I'm going to add you to it. Just keep the money coming. I've only, for the longest time, I've had one member. For the longest time, only one. I don't push it. I don't push for donations. There's one that's talking tonight. She helped me tonight. I don't push it. I'm not another Gray Hughes. It's not about me, what I can get. It's about what I can do for others, my community, and the ones around me. The same ones I took an oath at the age of 17 to do just that. The selfless service, the ethos, the Army ethos, and the ethics that were instilled to me is why I stopped to help now as I found out, fellow sexual victim that was trafficked and murdered. This whole time, I've never made it about me, what I can get, what's in it for me. It's how best can I serve the ones I swore an oath to. And it's bad when you got elected officials and same individuals within this good old boys club protecting these terrorists and this terrorist organization for money. The money laundering they're now doing for a terrorist organization making millions. You want to fact check me? Look up Paul Wyman buying the old Wagner property in Kokomo, Howard County, off of Robert Lashley for $1,500. That's $1,500. And then sold it to the federal government, federal HUD, for over 100 and I believe it was 130K to 150K per acre for around 35, almost 36 acres. That's over $3 million for a simple $1,500 purchase of the property, the buildings, and the land. That's the whole thing. I've never tried to be a content creator, and I thank you for that. I've never tried to be a content creator. I could have made content a hell of a lot better. I could have had thousands of subscribers by now. I'm still trying to figure out how to bring over and mirror my screen on my laptop to really get going. But I'm about to let my actions, my words, speak louder than ever with the help. And remember, the border Caesar, my gang's a hell of a lot bigger than yours. My gang includes the United States active and National Guard military. Do you realize that terrorist organizations' operations within the United States allows even National Guard units and others within the United States of America, their intelligence community, to find every single penny that's being paid off to local judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, others making millions, hundreds of thousands at times being paid off by this terrorist organization. It's no longer a system that you can hide behind, and these protective good old boys club members can no longer protect you. The elected officials, including Indiana State Police, local elected officials, law enforcement, when you're protecting and giving safety and protections to terrorists of a terrorist organization, you are now not only getting paid to overlook, to help hide terrorists, you're committing an act of treason against the very oath each and every single one of you took when you took office. You took that elected role. You are now helping and protecting a terrorist organization and the members within it. When you're getting safety and security, when politicians are being bought off, paid off to look the other way, it ends as of today. The actions after I meet here this week Some of these content creators, I'm sorry if you see some of these pages that have laughed, use me for their own monetary gain, views, subs, then attack me, how they chose to do like Prof. This retard can't keep my name out of his mouth. Do you realize I'm actually high functioning mild autistic? I got that actually found out with my neurologist. Yeah, I grew up in special ed. Not that I was mentally handicapped. It was what happened to me as a kid and the PTSD, the issues that arise. I tried running the wrong way successfully more than once. Life support was revived by the grace of God. I chose to run back when I was a child from the hell around me. And now it just gives me the rage, the skills, the training I got while I was in service to my country. It taught me to fight like hell, to not give up, never surrender, and never quit. So help me God. So these content creators that have been laughing, carrying on, having a good old time on their lives and their friends' lives, on their panels, having a good old time. That whole video, the videos, the communications, the comments, where you chose to attack me and my disabilities for a good laugh and a good old time. Do you realize that it was against federal laws? Hate crime against people with disabilities, targeting my disabilities, hell, including me in my wheelchair. Doing the same thing this cartel, terrorist organization, and members with it chose to do on the same attacks. You all chose to do using the same wording, the same attacks that I was getting done by these cartel members of this terrorist organization. You content creators saying you're there for justice, especially for child victims. I may be older now, but I was a child victim myself, and you're using the exact issues that I got from when I was a child against me for laughs, for content, for members, for views, for money. Like she said, they're incredibly selfish and small thinkers. And I thought it was funny while you're attacking me, doing all this attacking, you're bringing up on your lives things like chickpea used me, got a lot of information out of me, and it was plastered my name, Michael Phillips, all over on multiple pages. You brought up Prof. Rick Snay, among others, just like case by case, helping a terrorist of a terrorist organization saying she's innocent. Did you realize I copied Ashley Garth's friends list entirely before her daddy dearest, the same daddy, Toby Garth, that worked at the same co-op, the Ag Solution Resource Center on Prince William Road in 100 South, the same Ag Resource Center that his daughter, her fellow dealers for this terrorist organization, came and stole their ammonia while he was a main manager helping fabricate, hide the missing ammonia, where law enforcement didn't get notified. Hey, we've got missing amounts of ammonia used to make manufacture methamphetamine. Derek Sherman, Dustin Prater, less than 40 feet from where they got charged for stealing the ammonia, You had case by case trying to act like, oh, it was the same time Dustin Prater and Derek German got arrested. It was different times, honey. Thinking you know all and you think you know everything. It was different times. Look up the dates where Gable Sebastian Ellis and Heather Ferris. They were arrested 40 feet away on Prince William Road 100 South. What's messed up? He was arrested right there in Carroll County, but charged in Miami County. Imagine that. And you're protecting a now terrorist sitting behind bars for admitting they killed for a terrorist organization somebody that was going to roll on more than one child's murder. That's why Nicole Bowen lost her life, just like Jeremy Patterson 96 days after. And what makes me sick on these individuals laughing at me is the FBI agent Michael Curtis, my handler, acted in Karina McClurkin's case. The suspects that were just known to him and the FBI. Trump's team, the agents that I'm now talking with and working with, they noticed where one FBI agent with the Joint Terrorism Task Force, the same JTTF, and the first agent that was involved in Delphi. Why? Because my investigation, Bappy, my investigation with the Odinism, doing everything he asked of me, including the suspects that was practicing Odinist that were involved in Karina McClurkin's case, suspects known to him were allowed to go on to murder again and again and again. There's suspects like Curtis Beck, Jeremy Patterson's roommate, Alan Tinker, known to the FBI, and my handler, Michael Curtis, that were allowed to go on and kill Jeremy Patterson and Curtis Beck. One, that handler, Michael Curtis, forced upon me. A local Kokomo resident and longtime terrorist organization member, dealer, and user himself, Curtis Beck, helped orchestrate, force his roommate to go to his murder, where his best friend and fellow member was waiting. Was contacted by Curtis Beck that they were on their way, he was coming, and then when they made it there, he helped Alan Tinker murder Jeremy Patterson, and Alan Tinker only got 10 years and is now out, walking as a murderer. Okay, the Sons of Odin. If you look up, like I showed, Kyle Stacy's book, The Book of Troth, the same Book of Troth, Brad Holder, Gabriel Ellis, Patrick Westfall, all them used to make the Tears Hellhounds, Norse and pagan kindred. The same Tears Hellhounds. If you look up Amber Holder's old Facebook, right this second, if you get a second, go fact check me. Her February 11th, 2018 post. Recruiting and reliving, just like her husband. They chose from February 11th to February 16th. Each and every single one of these individuals that were involved, they were reliving it, just like Elijah Cook, not Tyler, but Kaigan Callis, Travis Janicki, parading around the exact murder weapons, the serrated Bowie knife, the ceremonial sword with the blood of those two little girls still on it. They were parading those weapons around, blood still on them 18 days after the Delphi murders. Then they would relive their post year after year. Like I said, during the exact February 11th through the 16th, they were reliving that crime each year. Their post they made then, and then the further post Hell tier. Fact check me. Look for your own eyes. Remember all the hell tier, TYR posts that Kyle Stacy, Gabriel Ellis, Brad Holder? The reason Tyr's Hellhounds is the Norse and pagan kindred they belong to. The real name of the sons of Odin. The sons of Odin. That name, like I said, Kyle Stacy's, his book of Troth, Troth, that he kept reliving and posting about, is the same book they used to make that kindred. And within that kindred, they're killers. They're dillers. Not killers, but they're dillers. Their dillers turn killers, including serial killers. In that book of Troth, the sons of Odin are the killers and warriors of that kindred. That is where the sons of Odin name, but the real name of the sons of Odin, that Odinism issue, is the Tyr's Hellhounds. The Norse and pagan kindred, the same Norse and pagan kindred you had Amber Holder, Brad Holder recruiting for. 2018, February 11th. Still recruiting. Still openly showing the real kindred. And you wondered why they were laughing when the sons of Odin name was brought up. It's not the real name of their kindred. And it wasn't the first one. Blaine Nelson gave a lot of information out, including the address 105 East Harrison Street, where Karina McClurkin lost her life. And these Odinists, like Gabriel Ellis, Blaine Nelson said he was actually there. He had no control in what happened that night. So he says, but he was there the early morning, the daylight hours, and up to when Karina McClurkin lost her life. Gives the address of where Karina McClurkin was murdered at in the bathroom, and he gives you the description, just like word for word, Marlena Smith, when she was contacted by Gabriel Ellis and these terrorists that took Karina McClurkin's life for this terrorist organization. Many of them took a blood oath. Sisters and brothers, to the point, like Blaine Nelson, if you look and listen to the live at the very end, where he's calling brothers, Tyler French, Josh Eberling, Megan, Kyle Stacy, brothers, to the point where their sons and daughters were their nieces and nephews. I had to ask Blaine Nelson's mother, is he of any relation to Gabe Ellis and the other names that he's calling brothers? They took a blood oath of secrecy in more than one murder. There was some others wanting to join. And that's where these elders chose human sacrifice, and how better to add more members and to officiate the aka practicing Odinist. There's a hell of a lot more. And I hate to say it. There's been so many content creators swearing up and down they know every name, know all the ties and connections back in and around this now terrorist organization. But every time when, give me a second, I drop my drink. Gotta get a towel down at a catastrophe. I spilled my drink that was on, yeah, it didn't turn out well. Okay, I'm back. But what I was getting at is the same terrorist organization. Their dillers turned killers are behind Robert Pitt's Terre Haute Police Department. Fellow militia members And suspects known by the FBI and Michael Curtis, the same militia members that go back to why February 10th through the 12th, the FBI was there watching these fellow militia members that were training on Ron Logan's property. That was the investigation, the training for 2 days, 1 night, bug out, militia training with Brad Holder and others at Ron Logan's property. The video, the audio, the surveillance that the FBI did, they withheld in the Delphi case. The first agent that was involved with the Delphi murders was none other than Michael Curtis, my handler. It was my investigation that started days after Karina McClurkin's case, and I've got the texts, the emails, the hard copies of what started that Odinist investigation. It involves motorcycle clubs, this now terrorist organization, its dealers, and elected officials. And like I said, there's a damn good reason why more than one defendant who relied on unbiased, uncorrupt defense attorneys. You remember when now this terrorist organization's dealer, Blaine McClellan, there's a damn good reason why Nick didn't want to attack this drug ring. The ties and connections back to his friends, the others money laundering, the local politicians. But there's a damn good reason why the defense team and a certain individual chose not to do the same reasons. Oh, by all means, one's calling me bullshit. Oh, he's fucking lying. He's full of shit. His own fucking daughter. His own family members. I won't say which one. The local ties of other politicians, elected officials around them making money makes me wonder when your own daughter and other family members are showing around multiple of these names. Hell, some of the same exact names you did have the balls to bring up and talk about, but others that will go back to other missing and murdered cases, killers, set friends with your daughter among other family members. Is that the reason why you didn't want to go after the cartel, now terrorist organizations, dealers? Why? Because it would come back to show ties and connections around you and yours? Richard Allen deserved a unbiased, uncorrupt trial and defense attorneys that had no ties and connections back in and around this cartel drug ring. Now, terrorist organization. And for the fact that a local, him and his family, the Good Old Boys Club members around them chose to sit silent, refused to attack this cartel drug ring. I wonder why. Too much would have been shown back to you and yours and the ones around you. It's why the state and the defense refused to attack this drug ring. And it was, like you said, it almost was bigger than the mafia. It's taken decades for Kokomo, Lafayette, Delphi, Marion, Indianapolis to buy off elected politicians, local officials, rank and file within law enforcement. Hell, even the political ties to ones that sit with Indiana State Police. Call me nuts. Call my bluff. Look up Miami County Detective Charles Chuck Myers, the live I did in 2018 with him and KPD, now Captain Benzinger, admitting to 40 child exploitation cases sitting cold on their desk. Why? Because they did not have the manpower or the funding. It was one case, one detective with the Indiana State Police and the KPD, Kokomo Police Department. One detective, one case at a time. There was 40 plus cases of child exploitation sitting cold on their desk. 3 of those victims of Keegan Klein, Anthony Schatz, was Kokomo residents. Those were sitting on their desk cold, just like Liberty German. And they're laughing, making jokes, then saying that, oh, child exploitation, child porn is only a state and local issue. It's not a federal issue. There's nothing the feds can do. And when I pressed them, since it was funding and manpower were issues, then how about asking the feds that have unlimited resources and manpower for help? You hear both the Indiana State Detective and the Kokomo PD Detective, Benzinger. No. Do you realize I got physically attacked by the chief of police, Robert Baker? The same Robert Baker that I've got on audio and video saying if I was such a good snitch, then why isn't the FBI doing anything? Laughing at my face. The same Paul Wyman, sitting Howard County, Maine commissioner, the time of the 2018. Like I said, I'm no longer calling it a cartel drug ring. It's a terrorist organization. Was barely hit when they're trying to say it was fully dismantled. It was barely hit. But members like Dusty Jackson Rourke, aka Dusty Jackson, you have at the time Kevin Summers, captain with KPD, among other KPD and law enforcement within Howard County and ISP. Elected officials like the sitting Mayor Greg Goodnight, his administration, his deputy mayor, among other elected officials, judges, prosecutors. They're all sitting with dealers just like Dusty, among others, the ones around them. And the ones calling me bullshit, I'm going to name one name. Sophia's long ties back in and around. You can't hide. You can't tell her to take her Facebook down, to delete her friends list along you and your family members. I've already documented everything, all the ties and connections back to the same names you refused to bring up in Richard Allen's case. Both of you guys are disgusting on both sides. I'm not saying both, but both sides should be disgusted with yourselves on what the hell you allowed. Is it why you didn't want your family members, your own children, their friends, their ties and connections that go back in around these same names that go back to case after case, missing and murdered, and the friends, the dealers, the killers, their friends, each shown back. There's over 24 of these individuals around your own children, your own family. Both sides. And just like Flint Farmer, Kathy Allen was a social butterfly, and I've been sitting on this. Brooke Ball goes back in around this terrorist organization left and right, and among other names that were sitting friends with a social butterfly, Kathy Allen. All it took was a close friend to house sit when they go on vacation, or a trusted neighbor that had ties and connections. But I made sure to every single one of Kathy Allen's friends, I screenshotted, I downloaded and made sure I had that. And what's troubling, like Brooke Ball, among others, they got close to her. All it took was somebody watching that house to get what they needed to plant. There's not a whole lot of ties and connections, but the ones that are there go back to many of the names that are in and around and even known to the FBI. It could have taken a simple, hey, we've got pets. Can you watch the house and check on the house while we're on vacation? Something as small and minute like that, and something as simple as a bullet that could be a magic bullet that could seal his case being taken. Hey, get a bullet, or hey, if you can steal a gun, if he's got enough, steal it, do it. That could have easily happened by somebody that was simply house sitting. There is, I wouldn't say there's a lot of ties and connections back to him, that drug ring and the killers. There's a few, but not enough. I'm starting to wonder, like I said, in Flint Farmer, the sex trafficker and terrorist organization dealer that led to Karina McClurkin's murder, Flint Farmer is sitting over 2 years in solitary confinement for a crime that Gabriel Ellis's jailhouse confessions admit he had nothing to do. So you see where, Arcane, I'm not trying to go right into, oh, he's guilty and oh, he's where he belongs. Because look at Flint Farmer sitting in solitary confinement pre-trial. His trial's now moved to April instead of January. That's another more months of solitary confinement pre-trial. You've seen what 13 months can do to a person. How about 2+ years? And hey, anybody that was in or has been in, I am not sir. I work for a living. But not anymore. I'm disabled. But hey, sir is for brass and like law enforcement and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, I always make the joke. I work for a living. I am no sir. Thank you for the compliment. But when there's terrorist organization, terrorists going to be charged for as such, you're about to see this terrorist organization, the missing and murder cases over 80. Like I was getting to, Robert Pitts, his dealer turned killer, the ties and connections back to militia members that go back to Brad Holder that FBI knew about. They were texting me. They were on a recorded phone call with me, leaving the exact apartment, trying to act like, "Oh my God, what's going on? We're sitting here watching where a bunch of law enforcement and SWAT's loading up at some store right down the road. What's going on?" When I got them the text that the FBI, my handler Michael Curtis, received was them from Indianapolis up north, heading down to Terre Haute hours prior, then admitting they were at the exact apartment when the officer was murdered, Robert Pitts, by their close friend, the one they were visiting, the one they were there with when he lost his life. Then we get Greg Ferenczi. His killer goes back to what terrorist organization? left and right. Then you have Deputy Carl Kuntz, where this terrorist organization, one of their dealers turned killers, was in possession of a Kokomo police department. ISP told KPD not to hire police badge, real police badge. If this low-level dealer turned killer was holding a police badge, a real one, look up Carl Kuntz murder. There was $1,500 out of a deputy about to turn state witness. What they don't want you to know is the corruption, the issues that Carl Kuntz seen, down to the corruption of the $1,500 that was taken and sealed in an evidence bag, went missing out of his car, squad vehicle, the night he was murdered. And like I said, if his killer was in possession of a police badge, it sure as hell would keep two kids silent and keep them silent if they flashed a real police badge to them. Let them see it. Let them read it. This is a real badge. Do as I say. You're going with me. Then we got Deputy Jacob Pickett out of Boone County. Again, if the Boone County prosecutor's office can go after this now cartel organization and the dealers, when for the longest time they had this sitting law they chose to enact, and instead of overdoses, dealers, when their drugs are responsible for deaths, including murder, they chose to use that law that barely gets used on any dealer turned killer, like the one that killed Blaine Nelson. They sit and refuse to bring that law into effect, but they did for a badge. But not one of these 20 children of the troubled community that went missing and murdered, and there's still some, like a Mia Robertson, still missing. Her family, her own mother, her boyfriend. Her boyfriend only got 10 years for that child's murder, and they refused to give up with that baby girl, where her remains are, still to this day. Like I said, Amber Robertson, her ties and connections back to other missing and murdered cases, it's not just me saying it. I've got a Garland Odell, Indianapolis Metro police officer, and IMPD as a whole admitting that ties and connections back to Karina and Delphi, the same now terrorist organization, were in fact showing and ties and connections being made to multiple cases, included Jamie Beasley, Tony Klein with a C, her cousin, Jamie's cousin, Mariah Coy, her murder. Among other missing and murdered cases, there was ties and connections being made to Delphi and Karina. Facts. Would not surprise me, and it shows that easily if a low-level dealer like Deputy Kuntz murder, look up during his murder, and then following investigation, they found a Kokomo Police Department real, aka stolen badge, in his killer's trailer. If he was excuse me, if he was able to get a badge that easily, other dealers within that same organization could easily get Good Old Boys members And it helps, like I said, when this cartel, this terrorist organization, had even captains of KPD, sitting mayors, main Howard County commissioners, and you wondered why individuals like Gabriel Ellis, the charges, the child exploitation, the producing and distribution of child porn, why those charges were taken off of him on a sweetheart deal, he would have been behind bars for the rest of his miserable life. And anybody that has watched Mad Max, that child exploiting Immortal Joe is Gabriel Ellis. And those war boys are his killers that get methed out, iced out, and do his beckoning. See me, Gabriel? Oh, master, I'm gonna ice out and do your killing. I cannot watch that movie now without thinking of these inbred, methed out, iced out retards killing for their immortal Joe, aka Gabriel Alice, the fat child molesting piece of shit, just like Immortal Joe is. And you remember their own admissions and even law enforcement, oh, they were too messed out of their mind. We could not understand anything they were saying. They were too messed up. But tell me, anybody that's watched that Mad Max, any of the series, any of the movies, tell me if that does not fit them to a T. Instead of acting like Odinist, this, that, and the other, hell, we're on Mad Max in real life. We've got an Immortal Joe. We've got war boys, aka killers, that get methed up, iced up like the war boys, and start killing. Tell me you cannot watch that damn, like Arcane. You know the movie I'm talking about. Tell me from now here on out, you're not going to have peoples like Tyler Joe French, Kyle Stacy, Kygan Callis, Elijah Cook, all their faces in the back of your mind. And anytime you watch that movie from here on out, it's Tyr, T-Y-E-R, apostrophe S, Helhounds, Norse and pagan kindred. And give me a second. And like I said right here, if you look up Marilyn Monroe, yes, I can. If you look up right now, some of you that will take a second, go to Facebook, look up Amber Holder, Delphi, Indiana. Find that Facebook and look at the February 11th, 2018. That is the real name of their kindred. And like Kyle Stacy's Book of Troth, TROTH, post within that book they used to form their kindred, the killers, aka the warriors of that kindred, are known as the Sons of Odin. Warriors. In their eyes, the killers of these children and other missing and murdered within the troubled community. Over 80 cases of this terrorist organization's areas of operation. It's pretty sad when you have in Allen County more than one that's working with the prosecutor's office, among others, going back these same names in and around this terrorist organization, showing friends with them and their families. It's sickening. And I'm not just able to say this. If I can figure out, and if somebody for the love of God can help me on the StreamYard, on moving everything from my laptop, like mirroring the screen, and kind of step by step kind of work with me and work through that, I'll do a practice stream like on StreamYard, record it just to see if I can make sure I can get it where I can do it. The last time I tried with headphones, and you could see what I was trying to bring up, what I was mirroring to the screen, but you could not hear me for life a day. So I went from my headphones, and then I started using my microphone. It was still having issues. You could see what I was mirroring, what I was showing, but you could not hear me for the life of me. I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. I would have done a whole lot more content, but I've asked ones like Criminality and other ones for help, and they were too busy to take the time. Or any of their friends or ones that knew the help I needed, they were too busy at the time making content for views, monetization, donations, members, for any of these to take the short amount of time I needed to help to show down to the ones laughing. Oh, the FBI isn't going to do anything. Well, think again. They're forced to do something here soon. And when I said I was an FBI informant turned federal witness, turned federal living victim, by now a living federal victim of a terrorist organization, and the dealers and killers within it that acted on ones like Karina McClurkin, they were terrorists then, and by God, they are now terrorists now. The ones that are going to get charges, the tampering with me, it's no longer for being cartel drug members. It's a terrorist organization, terrorists within that organization. You're about to be going housed where terrorists go. Then others that think they knew everything and was talking bad about this cartel, this, that, and the other, like they knew something. Your federal hate crimes, you're going to be sitting in the same courthouse as a co-defendant with some of these other individuals and content creators that think they know everything. But some of the same names they've been talking shit about, acting like they know what they're saying, have the information, the intel, and the documents that they say they've taken hundreds of hours to do. Have you seen a single one of them start showing anything that I have not said? And you notice how Aaron Unger, Synthetics 2015, dealing for the cartel, was raided. You notice where these content creators like Matt Sullivan, Rick Snay, Croft, they keep going over the meth, the meth, the meth, the meth, the meth. What about the synthetics? What about the cocaine? What about the child and human trafficking, the gun trafficking violations by this same now terrorist organization and the members in and around it? You don't hear anything but other than meth this, meth that, meth dealers, blah, 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 blah. And any hard documentation. You say you have hundreds of hours of documentation of work. I know I sure hell have. Where is it? Where's the proof? Where's all those hundreds of hours of documentation, of investigation? Like Prof and others swear up and down they've spent hundreds of hours of investigating and documenting. Put your money where your mouth is. I know in the next few days, I know I'm putting mine where mine is. And when I meet with that federal agent, your internet access from the very day we start these charges, the victim, apathy, federal help I'm about to get, we're demanding, since it was internet crimes, some of you chose, like Prof, And the other content creators I named, the dealers within this terrorist organization used. You thought it was a laughing matter then. Well, guess what? Sure the hell not going to be a laughing matter when I meet with this agent this week. The federal violations you chose to do, the federal witness and victim tampering you chose to do, the hate crimes against people with disabilities, targeting my mental disabilities, my physical disabilities, down to even putting my wheelchair in and having a good old laugh, making fake hoax calls. It's against federal laws, buddy. I'm not so fucking retarded now, am I now? Huh. Enjoy the charges. Enjoy your internet access gone for the rest of your life. Go grief and money launder and beg for money somewhere else in some way. Another way. Get a fucking job, you fucking bum. Fuck you, Prof. Fuck you, Adrian, and the rest of you. You had your laughs. Well, I'm about to have mine this week. Enjoy prison and enjoy the federal charges. And oh, some of the co-defendants that you talk shit about, wait till you're in Gen Pop with them, bitches.